When they had left their happy home in the beautiful mountain abounding in cascades, in having birds, and the elephants of the 8 quarters, and the supernatural attendants of Kuvera, our happiness forsook those foremost of men of Mahabharata race. Afterwards, on beholding Kuvera's favorite mountain, Kailasa, appearing like clowns, the delight of those preeminent heroes of the race of Mahabharata became very great. And those foremost of heroic men, equipped with scimitars and bows, proceeded contentedly, beholding elevations and the fields, and dens of lions and crags, causeways and innumerable waterfalls and lowlands in different places, as also other great forests inhabited by countless deer and birds and elephants. And they came upon beautiful woodlands and rivers and lakes and caves and mountain caverns, and these frequently by day and by night became the dwelling place of those great men. And having dwelt in all sorts of inaccessible places, in crossing Kailasa of inconceivably grandeur, they reached the excellent and surpassingly beautiful hermitage of Vana Parva. In meeting King Vana Parva, and received by him, they became free from the prison, and then they accurately narrated in detail to Vana Parva the history of their sojourn in the mountains. And having pleasantly passed one night in his sacred abode, frequented by gods and Mahari's, those great warriors proceeded smoothly towards the jujube tree called Visala, and took up their quarters there. Then all those magnanimous men, having reached the place of Narayana, continued to live there, bereft of all sorrow, at beholding Kuvera's favorite lake, frequented by gods and siddhas, and viewing that lake, those foremost of men, the sons of Pandu, traversed that place, announcing all grief even as immaculate Brahma rishis, on attaining a habitation in the Nandana gardens. Then all those warriors, having in due course happily lived at Badari for 1 month, proceeded towards the realm of Subahu, king of the Kiratas, by following the same track by which they had come, in crossing the difficult Himalayan regions and the countries of Hina, Tukihara, Darada, and all the claims of Kulinda, rich in heaps of Jews. Those warlike men reached the capital of Subahu, and hearing that those sons and grandsons of kings had all reached his kingdom, Subahu, elated with joy, advanced. Then the best of the Kurus welcomed him, and meeting King Subahu, and being joined by all their charioteers, with Visoka at their head, and by their attendants, Indrasena and others, and by the superintendents and servants of the kitchen, they stayed there comfortably for 1 night. Then taking out the chariots and chariot men, and dismissing Gihatotikakha, together with his followers, they next repaired to the monarch of mountains in the vicinity of the Yamuna. In the midst of the mountain, abounding in waterfalls, and having grey and orange-colored slopes and summits covered with a sheet of snow, those warlike men, having then found the great forest of Visakihayupa, like unto the forest of Hitrahatiha, and inhabited by wild boars and various kinds of deer and birds, made it their home, addicted to hunting as their chief occupation. The sons of Pritha peacefully dwelt in that forest for 1 year. There, in a cavern of the mountain, Vrikodara, with a heart afflicted with distraction and grief, came across a snake of huge strength, distressed with hunger and looking fierce like death itself. At these crises, Yudhishthira, the best of pious men, became the protector of Vrikodara, and he, of infinite puissance, extricated Bhishma, whose unwhole body had been fast gripped by the snake with its folds. And the 12th year of their sojourn in forest having arrived, the scions of the haze of Kuru, blazing in effulgence and engaged in exercício, always devoted principally to the practice of archery, prepared cheerful from that Hitrahatiha, like forest to the borders of the desert, and desirous of dwelling in by the Sarasvati, they went there, and from the banks of that river they reached the lake of the Vaitabana. Then seeing them enter the Vaitabana, the dwellers of that place engaged in ascetics, religious ordinances, and self-restraining exercises, and in deep in devout meditation, and subsisting on things ground with stone, having procured grass mats and water vessels, advanced to meet them, the whole fig, the Hudrakisha, the Hohitaka, the cane, and the Jujub, the Katekhu, the Sirisha, the bell, and the Inguda, and the Karira, and Pilu, and Sami trees grew on the banks of the Sarasvati. Wandering about with contentment in the Sarasvati, which was as it were the home of the Celestials, and the favorite of Yakishas, and Gandharvas, and Maharshis, the sons of kings lived there in happiness. Janamejaya said, how was it that Bhishma, of might prowess and possessing the strength of 10,000 elephants, was stricken with panic at that snake? Thou hast described him, that slayer of his enemies, as dismayed and appalled with fear, even him who by fight at the Lotus Lake became the destroyer of Yakishas and Hakishasas, and who, in proud defiance, invited to a single combat Pulastia's son, the dispenser of our wishes. A desire to hear this, great indeed is my curiosity. Having reached King Vrisha Parva hermitage, while those fearful warriors were living in various wonderful woods, Vrikodara, roaming at pleasure with bow in hand and armed with a scimitar, found that beautiful forest frequented by gods and Gandharvas. And then he beheld lovely spots in the Himalayan mountains, frequented by Devarshis and Siddhas, and inhabited by hosts of Apsaras, resounded here and there with birds, the Hakora, the Hakrabaka, the Jibajibaka, and the Kukko, and Bihiringaraja, and abounding with shade trees, soft with the touch of snow, and pleasing to the eye and mind, and bearing perennial fruits and flowers. And he beheld mountain streams with waters glistening like the lapis lazuli, and with 10,000 snow-white dusks and swans, and with forests of deodar trees, forming a trap for the clowns, and with tugina and kalikaya forests, interspersed with yellow sandal trees, and he of might strength in the pursuit of the chase, roamed in the level and desert tracts of the mountain, fixing his game with unpoisoned arrows. In that forest the famous and mighty Bhishmasena, possessing the strength of 100 elephants, killed large wild boars with the force, and endowed with terrible prowess and mighty strength, and powerful as the lion or the tiger, and capable of resisting 100 men, and having long arms, and possessing the strength of 100 elephants, he killed many antelopes and wild boars and buffaloes. And here and there in that forest he pulled out trees by the roots with great violence, and broke them too, causing the earth and the woods and the places to his sound, and then shooting and trampling on the tops of mountains, and causing the earth to resound with his horse, and striking his arms, and uttering his war cry, and slapping and clapping his hands, Bhishmasena, exempt from decay, and ever proud and without fear, again and again leaped about in those woods, and on hearing the shouts of Bhishmasena, powerful lions and elephants of hug strength left their lairs in fright. And in that same forest he fearlessly strolled about in search of game, and like the denizens of the woods, the most valiant of men, the mighty Bhishmasena, wandered on foot in that forest, and he penetrated the vast forest, shouting strange whoops, and terrifying all creatures endowed with strength and prowess. And then, being terrified, the snake hid in caves. He, overtaking them with promptitude, pursued them slowly. Then the mighty Bhishmasena, like unto the Lord of the Celestials, saw a serpent of colossal proportions, lying in one of the mountain, fastened and covering the cave with its body, and causing on her to stand on end. It had its hug body stretched like a hillock, and it possessed gigantic strength, and its body was speckled with spots, and it had a turmeric-like color, and a deep copper-colored mouth of the form of a cave, supplied with 4 teeth, and with glaring eyes. It was constantly licking the corners of its mouth, and it was the terror of all animated beings, and it looked like the very march of the destroyer Yama, and with the hissing noise of its breath, it lay as if rebuking. And seeing Bhishma draw near to him, the serpent, all on a sudden, became greatly enraged, and that god devouring snake violently seized Bhishmasena in his grip. Then, by virtue of the wound that had been received by the serpent, Bhishmasena, with his body in the serpent grip, instantly lost all consciousness, unrivaled by that of others. The might of Bhishmasena arms equaled the might of 10,000 elephants combined. Bhishma, of great prowess, being thus vanquished by the snake, trembled slowly, and was unable to exert himself, and that one of mighty arms and of leaning shoulders, Thog, possessed of strength of 10,000 elephants, yet seized by the snake, and overpowered by virtue of the wound, lost all strength. He struggled furiously to extricate himself, did not succeed in any wise baffling these. And the powerful Bhishmasena, having thus come under the power of the snake, talked of its might and wonderful prowess, and said unto it, Be thou pleased to tell me who thou art, and what wilt thou do with me? I am Bhishmasena, the son of Pandu, and next by birth to Yudhishthira, the just, and endowed as I am with the strength of 10,000 elephants. How hast thou been able to overpower me? In fact, have been encountered and slain by me innumerable lions and tigers and buffaloes and elephants, and mighty Rakshasas and Pisachas and Nagas are unable to stand the force of my arms. Art thou possessed of any magic, or hast thou received any boon, that out exerting myself, I have been overcome by thee? Now I have been convinced that the strength of men is false, for by thee have such mighty strength of men been baffled. When the heroic Bhishma of noble deed had said this, the snake caught him and coiled him around with his body, having thus subdued that might armed on, and freed his plump arms alone. The serpent spake these words: by good fortune it is that, myself being hungry, after long time the gods have today destined thee for my food. For life is dear unto every embodied being. I should relate unto thee the way in which I have come by this snake form. Here I have fallen into this plight on account of the wrath of the Mahashis. Now, desirous of getting rid of the curse, I will narrate unto thee all about it. Thou hast, no doubt, heard of the royal sage Nahusha. He was the son of Ayu, and the perpetuator of the line of thy ancestors. Even I am that one, for having affronted the Brahmanas, by Agastya malediction, have come by this condition. Thou art my Agnat, and lovely to behold. Thou shouldst not be slain by me, yet I shall today devour thee. Do thou behold the dispensation of destiny, and be it a buffalo or an elephant, none coming within my reach at the sixth division of the day can escape. Thou hast not been taken by an animal of the lower order, having strength alone. These, by reason only of the boon I have received, as I was failing happily from sacred throne, placed on the front of his palace. I spake unto that worshipful sage, do thou free me from this curse. There, filled with compassion, that energetic on said unto me, thou shalt be freed after the lapse of some time. Then I fell to the earth. My recollection did not announce me, and although it be ancient, I still recollect all that was said. And the sage said unto me, that person who conversant with the relation subsisting between the soul and the Supreme Being shall be able to answer the questions put by thee, shall deliver thee, and taking by thee, a strong being superior to thee shall immediately lose their strength. I heard these words of those compassionate ones who felt attached unto me, and then the Brahmanas vanished. Thus, having become a serpent, doing exceedingly sinful acts, live in unclean hell, in expectation of the time. The might-armed Bhishma addressed the serpent, saying, I am not angry, nor do I blame myself, since in regard to happiness and misery, men sometimes possess the power of bringing and dismissing them, and sometimes do not. Therefore, one should not free one's mind, who can baffle destiny by self-exertion. I deem destiny to be supreme, and self-exertion to be of no avail. Smitten with the stroke of destiny, the prowess of my arms lost, behold me today fallen unto this condition, without palpable cause. Today I do not much grieve for my own self being slain, as I do for my brothers deprived of their kingdom, and exiled into the forest. This Himalaya is inaccessible, and abounds with yakishas and the hakishasas, and searching about for me, they will be distracted, and hearing that I have been killed, will forego all exertion, for fear impromptu they have hitherto been controlled by my harsh speech, being desirous of gaining the kingdom. Or the intelligent Arjuna, being versed in every lore, and incapable of being overcome by gods and Rakshasas and Gandharvas, will not be afflicted with grief. That might armed and exceedingly powerful one is able single-handed to speedily pull down from his place even the celestials. What shall I say of the deceitful gambling son of Dhritarashtra, detested of all men and filled with haughtiness and ignorance? And I grieve for my poor mother, affectionate to her sons, who is ever solicitous for our greatness in a large mastery than is attained by our enemies. The desire that forlorn one had in me will all be fruitless in consequence of my destruction, and gifted with manliness, the twins Nakula and Sahadeva, following their elder brother, and always protected by the strength of my arms, will, owing to my destruction, be depressed and deprived of their prowess, and stricken with grief. This is what I think. In this way, Vrikodara lamented profusely, and being bound by the body of the snake, he could not exert himself. On the other hand, Yudhishthira, reflecting on dreadful ill omens, became alarmed, terrified by the blaze of the points of the horizon, jackals stationing themselves on the right of that hermitage, set up frightful and inauspicious yells, in ugly verticals, as of dreadful sight, having on wing, on eye, and on leg, were seen to vomit blood, facing the sun, and the wind began to blow dryly and violently, attracting greets. And to the right all the beasts and birds began to cry, and in the ear the black crows cried, "Go!" and momentarily his right arm began to twitch, and his chest and left leg shook, and indicating evil his left eye contracted spasmodically. Thereupon the intelligent Yudhishthira, the just, inferring some great calamity, asked Draupadi, saying, "Where is Bhima?" There Panchali said that Vrikodara had long gone out. Hearing this, that might-armed king set out with the Haumia, after having said unto the Dhananjaya, "Thou shouldst protect Draupadi," and he directed Nakula and Sahadeva to protect the Brahmanas, and issuing from the hermitage, that lord, following the footprints of Bhimasena, began to search for him in that mighty forest, and on coming to the east, he found mighty leaders of elephant herds, and saw the earth marked with Bhima. Then seizing thousands of deer and hundreds of lions lying in the forest, the king ascertained his course, and on the way were scattered trees pulled down by the wind, caused by the wings of that hero, and with the speed of the wind, as he rushed after the deer, and proceeding guided by those marks to a spot filled with dry winds, and abounding in leafless vegetables, brackish and devoid of water, covered with thorn plants, and scattered over with gravel, stumps, and shrubs, and difficult of access, and uneven and dangerous. He saw in a mountain cavern his younger brother, motionless, caught in the folds of that foremost of snakes. Yudhishthira, finding his beloved brother coiled by the body of the serpent, said these words, "How hast thou come by this misfortune? And who is this best of serpents, having a body like unto a mountain mass?" Bhimasena said, "This might being have caught me for food. He is the royal sage Nahusha, living in the form of a serpent." Yudhishthira said, Do thou free my brother of immeasurable prowess. We will give thee some other food, which will appease thy hunger. The serpent said, I have got for thee even the son of a king, come to my mouth of himself. Do thou go away, thou shalt not stay here, thou too shalt be my fare tomorrow. This is ordained in respect of me, that he cometh unto my place, becometh my food, and thou too art in my quarter. After a long time have I got thy younger brother as my food. I will not let him off, neither do I like to have any other food. There Yudhishthira said, whether thou art a god, or a demon, or an uraga, do thou tell me truly. It is Yudhishthira that asketh thee, wherefore hast thou taken Bhishmasena? By obtaining wish, or by knowing what wilt thou receive satisfaction? And what food shall I give thee? And how mayest thou free him? The serpent said, I was thy ancestor, the son of Ayu, and fifth in descent from the Muon, and I was a king celebrated under the name of Nahusha. And by sacrifices and asceticism and stood of the Vedas in self-restraint and prowess, I had acquired a permanent dominion over the three worlds. And when I had obtained such dominion, haughtiness possessed me, and thousands of Brahmanas were engaged in carrying my share, and intoxicated by supremacy, I insulted those Brahmanas, and by Agastya have I been reduced to this pass. Yet to this day the memory hath not forsaken me, and even by the favor of that high-souled Agastya, during the sixth division of the day, have I got for meal thy younger brother, neither will I set him free, nor do I wish for any other food. If today thou answerest the questions put by me, then I shall deliver Vrikodara. At this Yudhishthira said, ask whatever thou listest. I shall, if I can, answer thy question with the view of gratifying thee. Thou knowest full what should be known by Brahmanas. Therefore, hearing, I shall answer thy queries. The serpent said, say who is a Brahmana, and what should be known. By thy speech I infer thee to be highly intelligent. Yudhishthira said, it is asserted by the wise, in whom are seen truth, charity, forgiveness, good conduct, benevolence, observance of the rites of his order, and mercy, is a Brahmana, and that which should be known is even the supreme Brahma, in which is neither happiness nor misery, and attaining which beings are not affected with misery. What is thy opinion? The serpent said, truth, charity, forgiveness, benevolence, benignity, kindness, and the Veda, which worketh the benefit of the four orders, which is the authority in matters of religion, and which is true, are seen even in the Sudra. As regards the object to be known and which thou allegest is without both happiness and misery, I do not see any such that is devoid of these. Yudhishthira said, those characteristics that are present in a Sudra do not exist in a Brahmana, nor do those that are in a Brahmana exist in a Sudra. And a Sudra is not a Sudra by birth alone, nor a Brahmana is Brahmana by birth alone. It is said by the wise, in whom are seen those virtues, is a Brahmana, and people term him a Sudra, in whom those qualities do not exist, even though he be a Brahmana by birth. And again, as for thy assertion that the object to be known doth not exist, because nothing exists that is devoid of both, such indeed is the opinion, that nothing exists that is without both, as in code, heat doth not exist, nor in heat, cold. There cannot exist an object in which both cannot exist. The serpent said, if thou recognize him as a Brahmana by characteristics, then the distinction of caste becometh futile as long as conduct doth not come into play. Yudhishthira said, in human society it is difficult to ascertain on caste because of promiscuous intercourse among the four orders. This is my opinion. Men belonging to our orders begot offspring upon women of all the orders, and of men, speech, sexual intercourse, birth, and death are common. And to these riches have borne testimony by using as the beginning of a sacrifice such expressions as, of what case soever we may be, we celebrate the sacrifice. Therefore, those that are wise have asserted that character is the chief essential requisite. The natal ceremony of a person is performed before the vision of the umbilical cord. His mother then acts as Savitri, and his father officiates as priest. He is considered as a Sudra as long as he is not initiated in the Vedas. Doubts having arisen on this point, Manu has declared that the mixed castes are to be regarded as better than the classes, if having gone through the ceremonies of purification, the latter do not conform to the rules of good conduct. Whosoever now conforms to the rules of pure and virtuous conduct, him have I ere now designated as a Brahmana. The serpent replied, thou art acquainted with all that is fit to be known, and having listened to thy words, how can I eat up thy brother Vrikodara? Yudhishthira said, in this word you are learned in the Vedas and Vedangas. Tell me what one should do to attain salvation. The serpent replied, Scion of the Mahabharata race, my belief is that the man who bestows alms on proper objects, speaks kind words and tells the truth, and abstains from doing injury to any creature, goes to heaven. Yudhishthira inquired, which is the higher of the two truth or alms giving? Tell me the greater or less importance of kind behavior and of doing injury to no creature. The snake replied, the relative merits of these virtues, truth and alms giving, kind speech and abstention from injury to any creature are known by their objective gravity. Truth is more praiseworthy than some acts of charity. Some of the latter, again, are more commendable than truth speech. Similarly, abstention from doing injury to any creature is seen to be important than good speech, and vice versa. Even it is, depending on the facts. And now, if thou hast anything else to ask, say it out, I shall enlighten thee. Yudhishthira said, tell me how the incorporeal being's translation to heaven, its perception by the senses, and its enjoyment of immutable fruits of its action can be comprehended. The snake replied, by his own acts man is seen to attend to one of the three conditions of human existence, of heavenly life, or of birth in the lower animal kingdom. Among these, the man who is not slothful, who injures no one, and who is endowed with charity and other virtues, goes to heaven, after leaving this world of men. By doing the very contrary, people are again born as men or as lower animals. It is particularly said in this connection that the man who is swayed by anger and lust, and who is given to avarice and malice, falls away from his human estate and is born again as a lower animal, and the lower animals too are ordained to be transformed into the human estate, and the cow and horse and other animals are observed to attend to even the divine estate. The sentient being, heaping the fruits of his actions, does transmigrate through these conditions. The regenerate and wise man reposes his soul in the everlasting supreme spirit. The embodied spirit, enchained by destiny and heaping the fruits of his own actions, thus undergoes birth after birth. He that has lost touch of his action is conscious of the immutable destiny of all born beings. Yudhishthira asked, "Tell me truly and without confusion, how that dissociated spirit becomes cognizant of sound, touch, form, flavor, and taste. Dost thou not perceive them simultaneously by the senses? Do thou answer all these queries?" The snake replied, "The thing called Atman, betaking itself to corporeal tenement and manifesting itself through the organs of sense, becomes dual cognizant of perceptible objects. Know that the senses, the mind, and the intellect, assisting the soul in its perception of objects, are called karanas, the eternal spirit going out of its sphere and aided by the mind acting through the senses, the receptacles of our perceptions, successively perceives these things. The mind of living creatures is the cause of our perception, and therefore it cannot be cognizant of more than one thing at a time. That spirit, betaking itself to the space between the eyebrows, sends the high and low intellect to different objects, what the yogins perceive after the action of the intelligent principle, but that is manifested the action of the soul. Yudhishthira said, "Tell me the distinguishing characteristics of the mind and the intellect. The knowledge of it is ordained as the chief duty of persons meditating on the Supreme Spirit." The snake replied, "Through illusion, the soul becomes subservient to the intellect. The intellect, told know to be subservient to the soul, becomes the director of the latter. The intellect is brought into play by acts of perception. The mind is self-existent. The intellect does not cause the sensation. The mind does. This, my son, is the difference between the mind and the intellect. You two are learned in this matter. What is your opinion?" Yudhishthira said, "You have fine intelligence, and you know all that is fit to be known. Why do you ask me that question? You knew all, and you performed such wonderful deeds, and you lived in heaven. How could an illusion overpower you? Great is my doubt on this point." The snake replied, "Prosperity intoxicates even the wise and valiant men. Those who live in luxury lose their reason, are too overpowered by the infatuation of prosperity, have fallen from my high estate, and having recovered my self-consciousness, I am enlightening thee thus. Thou hast done me a good turn. By conversing with thy pious self, my painful course has been expiated. In days of yore, while I was to sojourn in heaven, in a celestial chariot, reveling in my pride, I did not think of anything else. I was to exact tribute from Brahma's his, Devas, Yakishas, Gandharvas, Hakishasas, Panagas, and all other dwellers of the three worlds. Such was the spell of my eyes, that on whatever creature I fixed them, I instantly destroyed his power. Thousands of Brahmas his used to draw my chariot. The delinquency was the cause of my fall from my high prosperity. Among them, Agastya was on the drawing my conveyance, and my feet came in contact with his body. Agastya then pronounced on me in anger, "Ruined is thee, do thou become a snake." Losing my glory, I fell down from that excellent car, and while failing, I beheld myself turned into a snake, with head downwards. I thus implored that Brahmana, "May this curse be extinguished. You ought to forgive one who has been foolish from infatuation." Then he kindly told me this, as I was being hurled down: "The virtuous King Yudhishthira will save thee from this curse, and when horribly sin of pride will be extinguished, thou shalt attain salvation." And I was struck with wonder on seeing power of his austere virtues, and therefore have I questioned thee about the attributes of the Supreme Spirit and of Brahmanas. Truth, charity, self-restraint, penance, abstention from doing injury to any creature, and constance in virtue, these, and not his race or family connections, are the means by which a man must always secure salvation. May this brother of thine, the might Bhishmasena, meet with good luck, and may happiness abide with thee. I must go to heaven again. Saying that King Nahusha quitted his serpentine form, and assuming his celestial shape, he went back to heaven. The glorious and pious Yudhishthira returned to his hermitage with the Raumia and his brother Bhishma. Then the virtuous Yudhishthira narrated all that in detail to the Brahmanas who had assembled. On hearing that, his three brothers and all the Brahmanas and the renowned Draupadi were covered with shame. And all those excellent Brahmanas, desiring the welfare of the Pandavas, admonished Bhishma for his foolhardiness, telling him not to attempt such things again. And the Pandavas were greatly pleased at seeing the mighty Bhishma out of danger, and continued to live there pleasantly.